Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. Hooker again, back with your homeroom with Mrs. Hooker. I hope that you've had a good day today. I'm sorry this is kind of late today. I was busy doing errands around town and things, and then I came home and cleaned and did all sorts of stuff, and I lost track of time and I realized how late it was, so we need to get our video in for today. While I was out shopping, I picked up a few little prizes for you guys. Now, what I was thinking we could do is if you could take pictures of the homework that you've done so far this week and then email them to Mrs. Hooker. I could check it and make sure you've done all the assignments so far this week that we've discussed in all the lessons. And if you do have all the assignments done, then you can email me your address and Mrs. Hooker will send you a certificate that says you're on the homework honor roll, so you finished all your homework for the week, or classwork really, but we're at home. So you'll also get a yo-yo. You'll get a spinner, which is really fun, and you will get Smarties. And it's really cool to get mail too. Mrs. Hooker might write you a little letter or something like that as well and put in it. And like I said, you do not have to be one of my students from my normal class. It can just be any of you. So yes. Sorry, Mrs. Hooker kind of explained that in a long way. But here is my email. So it's Anita, A-N-I-T-A, Mae, M-A-E, Montgomery, that was my old last name, at gmail.com. So if you want to pause the screen for a minute and write this down with Mom and Dad, and then you can put your pictures on the email of your assignments or your crafts that you made. I'd love to see your money jars. If you made a money jar yesterday, a piggy bank, I'd love to see the pictures you've done, your writing assignments, all of it. And then just a little extra thing Mrs. Hooker wanted to start today, just to give you some more writing. We do a little bit of writing in these lessons. These last two, we've written a couple of sentences, but I was thinking that we need to maybe do a little bit more. So Mrs. Hooker found these really cool story cards. And if you have a notebook or a journal at home, each lesson, at the beginning of the lesson, Mrs. Hooker is just going to hold up the story card, and then you can write about the story card after the lesson, and that can be how you can get some of your writing in as well. So this is the first story card. Okay, and it says at the bottom, the new salon Just for Fur had recently opened. Things were going just fine until, so that is the beginning of the story. So you would write that, and then you're gonna finish the story on your own. So remember, a story needs to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the beginning, you're kind of telling us a summary of what's going to happen. In the middle, you have the details and the problem, and then at the end, you have a conclusion and you wrap it all up. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and do that in a notebook or a journal, that would be awesome. And like I said, we'll just kind of start doing those every lesson so we can get some writing in as well. Okay, so really quick, we're going to look at the map. For those of you who have watched the other two lessons, you know that I am from Iowa. And yesterday we talked about how there is a man in the map. So you can see Iowa is right here, and this is the head of the man. Here's his boot in Louisiana. Here's his pants in Arkansas. His shirt in Missouri. His head is Iowa. That's where I am. And his hat is Minnesota. So I had my aunt, she texted me the other day. She had watched yesterday's video, and she said that she's a teacher as well. And she said that she tells her students that the man is holding a frying pan, and Tennessee is the frying pan. A frying pan is what you cook things in. And he's frying a chicken leg, and Kentucky is the chicken leg. And you can remember that because of Kentucky Fried Chicken. So he's holding a frying pan, that's Tennessee, and he's frying a piece of chicken. So here's our man. He's holding a frying pan, and he's frying a chicken leg. Isn't that pretty cool? So that's something you can do to help you remember where some of the states are. And once you know where these states are, then it makes it a little easier to find all the other states too, because you can use the process of elimination when you know these states that are within the man. And then it makes the other ones pretty simple to figure out as well. Okay, so today we're going to be reading the book, My Teacher for President. And that is by Kay Winters. We're going to still be talking about money and math. And then we're going to be talking about some specific leaders today in social studies. So yesterday we talked about, if you remember, we talked about the traits of a leader. This was our acrostic that we looked at. And today we're going to be talking about some of those leaders in our community and in our government. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the time really quick. So the time is 5 o'clock. So Mrs. Hooker said 5 first, so that means that's going to be the hour hand. So I'm going to turn, and remember what I told you, the trick to remember which one's the hour hand and which one's the minute hand, is hour, the word hour is shorter than the word minute, and so the shorter hand is the hour hand, and you can remember that because hour is shorter than minute. The word hour is shorter than the word minute, okay? So it's 5 o'clock, which means our little hour hand is going to point to the 5. And then remember, o'clock is at the 12. So we have 5 o'clock. Go ahead and look at your clock now, and I want you to be able to tell me what time it is right now when you're watching this video. You might be watching it later tonight, or maybe you're even watching it tomorrow. But I want you to look at the clock right now and try to figure out what time it is. All right. So the month is the month of March, and we talked about how our month is the name, and so it needs a capital M on March because March is the name of the month. The day is Wednesday, and so we would do a capital W on Wednesday as well because Wednesday is the name of the day. And the date is the 18th. So Mrs. Hooker did our 10s and 1s on here. So you have 1 10 and 8 small ones. And then if we were to break 18 apart into money, it would be 1 dime, that's 5, 10, 1 nickel, that's 15, 5, 10, 15, and then 16, 17, 18, 3 pennies. And that would equal, I didn't write the cents on here. That would equal 18 cents. Okay, Mrs. Hooker realized that I messed up this card. Both of the videos, this card has been messed up. I don't know if any of you saw what the problem was. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you. I'm going to keep it a secret. And I want someone to comment and tell me what is wrong with this card. It's been wrong the whole time. Has anybody noticed what's wrong with it? Okay, I'm going to review it really quick and maybe you'll catch what's wrong. And if you do catch what's wrong, comment and tell me. The first person who comments, I might have to send you an extra little prize in your homework certificate envelope. Okay, so the year is 2020, and we represent the thousands with cubes. Okay, so we have 1 cube here, we have no hundreds, we have 2 tens, and 0 ones, 2020. If you can figure out what I did wrong in this card, comment below or email Mrs. Hooker and tell me what's wrong. And You might get an extra little prize in your homework envelope when I send it to you. Okay, moving on. It is now time to feed Walter. And I forgot to tell you guys, my class of kids know, but my other friends who are watching who are new may not know this, but Walter is actually, he is 7 years old, or he'll be 7 years old this year. And I bought Walter at Walmart. He was 30 cents when I bought him. He was this big, and he has grown a lot since I got him. So goldfish can actually grow as big as the tank that you have them in. Hi, Walter. Come here. And so he has gotten pretty big. We're gonna go ahead and just push our button. Come on, buddy. Oh, well, he must not be very hungry today. That's okay. He can eat it later. And Walter, we celebrate his birthday in our classroom on May 13th. We have a big party in our room, and we have water games, and we eat a lot of snacks that have to do with the ocean. So we have blue jello, and we have Swedish fish, and goldfish crackers, and all sorts of fun things on Walter's birthday. So this year we'll be celebrating Walter's birthday too, and so that'll be exciting. But anyway, so he'll be 7 this year. Alrighty, well, thank you for helping me feed Walter. We're gonna go ahead and read our book that I told you about. It is called My Teacher for President. Now, Mrs. Hooker can safely say that I would never want to be the President of the United States. They have to make some pretty hard decisions when you are president. So I can safely say that I wouldn't want to be the president, but it does seem like a pretty awesome job. And so this student wrote about his teacher being president, and he gives all the reasons why his teacher should be president. I want you to listen to these reasons and see if they kind of match up with our leadership traits, if this teacher has some of those leadership traits that we talked about yesterday. My teacher for president. Dear Channel 29, I saw on TV the elections are coming. At school, we've been learning about the president's job, and my teacher would be just right. Let me know what you think. My teacher loves White Houses. She's used to being followed everywhere. So it shows his teacher being followed by the line of kids, and then it shows her, if she was president, being followed by all the people who want to talk to her. When my teacher walks into a room, people pay attention. My teacher goes to lots of meetings. And she's always signing important papers. My teacher acts quickly when there's an emergency. And she says healthcare is important. My teacher likes to go on trips. She deals with the media every day. So media is like the news, and it can also mean like movies and music. And so in the school, this is her, and you guys probably don't actually know what this is, but this is from a VHS tape. It was before DVDs. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on with the tape to play a movie. And then this is the news crews listening to her. My teacher would be good for the country. She wants to clean up the earth. she finds jobs for people. She is a good listener. She believes in peace. My teacher would make a great president. Love Oliver. P.S. Just make sure she doesn't leave before the end of the year. All right. I love that story. So Oliver wanted his teacher to be president because he felt like she exhibited or showed a lot of the traits that a president needs to have. She was able to do all sorts of different things in the classroom that would then be good things to have if you were the president and working in the White House. So Oliver thought his teacher should be president. Now what we're going to do for this activity, you're going to need a picture of yourself, a piece of paper, markers and crayons or colored pencils, and we are going to make our campaign posters. So a campaign is when the presidential candidate, that's somebody who wants to be president, goes around to different states and towns and talks to people about wanting to be president. And they tell them, you should vote for me, you should pick me because of this reason. And so that's the campaign, and they make posters, they make commercials, they have mail that they send to people's homes. If you're from Iowa, you probably saw a lot of commercials during the caucuses that we hold here in Iowa, and that is when a lot of presidential candidates come, and people in Iowa get a vote for who they think would be a good president. And so they, like I said, have a lot of commercials and posters and all those ads and different things like that they send to you. So today we're going to make a campaign poster, and we're going to make it for ourselves. So you need your picture for your campaign poster, and then you're going to tell me why you would make a good president. So Mrs. Hooker did not spend a lot of time on my poster. I think your poster can look much prettier than mine. Look at all this blank space in my poster. So make sure that your poster is decorated really nicely, make it look really cool. Add your picture to it. If you don't have a picture of yourself, then you can just draw a picture of yourself. That would work too. So vote for me. And then down here, I put why you should vote for me. I put one reason, and I'm gonna have you guys do the same. So let me read you my reason. It says, one reason you should vote for me as president is because I will make sure that everyone gets a fair education. So Mrs. Hooker picked something that was important to me, education, and that is what my platform, or the major thing I chose to talk about for my campaign. So what you're going to do is pick something that really matters to you, something that you care a lot about. Maybe for you it's animals and making sure animals have a safe home. Maybe it's making sure that everybody is able to go to the doctor. Maybe it's making sure that everybody has food to eat. These are all things that are important. So I want you to pick something that's important to you, that you care a lot about, and then I want you to make that your platform. I want that to make the thing that you're using to have people vote for you as president. And then I need you to write that reason down below. Now you'll notice that Mrs. Hooker put quotation marks, and that's because I'm saying this. So you put quotation marks around something that you say. So this is being said by me. And I could have even done like a little speech bubble coming out of my mouth and saying this too. That would have been cool. And if you want to do that, that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and write on the whiteboard here our sentence stem that you're going to use for this story. So you are going to write one reason you should vote for me is boop, boop, boop. Okay, so really quick, capital O on one. One reason you should vote for me is, and then we need to remember that you're saying this, so you need your quotation marks. Okay, so one reason you should vote for me is, so you're gonna go ahead and write that down on your poster. And then I want you to pause the video. I want you to go ahead and make your poster, decorate it, make it really pretty. And so this is one of the assignments that I'm talking about that you can take a picture of and send to Mrs. Hooker so I can see some of your work and how you're doing. And I can give you feedback and tell you maybe some things you can work on and what you're doing good on, just like we would in school. So go ahead and make your poster, and I can't wait to see it. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on now to our money. So we're going to review really quick our touch points. Then we're going to move on to a story that I have for us. It's called Money Riddle. And then I want you to pause the video and I want you to play the game from yesterday again, or you can play it after. But the game that we made with our coins, and I have mine right here. So we have our piggy bank, and remember we had our coin game that we played. I'd also love to hear how that went for you guys. I'd love to hear who won yesterday, and when you play today, I'd also like to hear who won. And if you enjoy this game, and what's your favorite part about it, or maybe you even changed the rules a little bit and made it your own, which I would love to hear about. So if you don't know what I'm talking about and you didn't watch the video yesterday, go back and watch day 2. And you will find the math game. If you don't want to watch the whole video, that's okay. You can go, it's about in the middle of the video, and it explains how to play the math game. And I also show you how to make one of those piggy banks that I just showed. So that's kind of cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and we're going to review our money touch points. And I am just gonna move this over so we can see it a little bit better there. There we go. Okay. So, remember this is our money song, and it goes penny, penny, easily spent, copper, brown, and worth 1 cent. So remember that the penny is the brown coin, and it does not get a touch point. It is just worth 1. All of our touch points are worth 5. So the penny wouldn't get 1 because it is only worth 1. Nickel, nickel, thick and fat, you're with 5 cents, I know that. And so our nickel reminds me of a donut, like my little donut pointer. It reminds me of a donut because it has one little dot in the middle, kind of like the hole of the donut. And so when we get that dot, when we touch that dot, we say 5. So the nickel is worth 5. Okay, our next one, dime, dime, little and thin, I remember you're worth 10. So our dime has 2 eyes or 2 dots, and each dot we count by 5, so it's 5, 10. So our dime is worth 10 cents. The next one is our quarter. Quarter, quarter, big and bold, you're worth 25, I'm told. Okay, and our quarter gets 2 ears, a nose, and 2 feet. And we count each by 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that's our touch points for the money. We have done those each day this week so far, so hopefully you're getting it down. By the end of the week, Mrs. Hooker is going to start giving you amounts of money, and I'm going to see if you can tell me what coins we could use to make that amount. So we're gonna start getting a little bit trickier with our money assignment. So you really need to make sure you have those touch points down and have your coins down so you know which one is worth what. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and read our book. This is called Money Riddles That Count. So this is kind of a fun book. It has different coins on each page, and it has a little question about what we think the money is or whatever. So before I turn the page each time, I want you to try to guess the answer to the riddle. And then when I turn the page, you can see if you're right. Money riddles that count. Read the money riddles in this book. Count to see how much each school supply costs. So there's the school supplies. Okay, here's our first coin. I am something that has two ends. One end makes black marks go away, and the other end is a good writer. Count how much I cost. What am I? So look at the picture of the coin. What is that coin? How much is it worth? And what do you think the answer to the riddle is? What makes black marks go away? And what is a good writer? I apologize, you can probably hear my train outside. We live next to the railroad tracks, so just have to bear with me. All right, and the answer was a pencil, and how much was it worth? 10 cents. That was a picture of a dime on the last page. Good job if you guessed it. All right, next one. I am long and flat. There are numbers on me, and I see how things measure up. Count how much I cost. What am I? Okay, so look at the coins on that page. Do your touch points. How much is that coin? Are those coins together? How much are they worth? And what do you think it is that they are talking about? I see how things measure up. What school supply could that be? Ready? A ruler. And it was 15 cents. So we had a dime and a nickel. Remember, a dime is 5, 10, and the nickel is 15. Okay, here's our next one. I am made of rubber. I make black marks go away. I can rub answers the wrong way. Count how much I cost. What am I? Okay, let's see if you're right. An eraser, and it was worth 25 cents. So remember the quarter, it has 5 touch points, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All right, you can buy, sorry guys, you can buy me in a bottle. I am white. I make artwork sticky for you. Count how much I cost. What am I? Are you ready? Okay. It is glue, and it was worth 35 cents. So it was a quarter and a dime. So remember, the touch point for the quarter is 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then the dime has 2. So 25, 30, 35. So that's 35 cents. All right, here's our next one. You can buy us in a box. You can use us to draw. We add color to your pictures. Count how much we cost. What are we? You ready? Crayons. And so the picture was a quarter, a dime, and a nickel. So a quarter would be 5 touch points, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. A dime is 2, 25, 30, 35, and then our nickel is 40, 1 touch point. Okay, we have 2 sides. We are flat and white. We line up words. Count how much we cost. What are we? You ready? Paper. All right, let's go back to this page. So it was a quarter, a dime, a nickel, and 2 pennies. So, ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 41, 42. All right, this is our last one. We come in many colors. You mix water with us. You use us to brush up your artwork. Count how much we cost. What are we? We are paints, and they're worth 50 cents. So, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There we go. Alrighty. So now what I want you to do is you can either pause the video and play the money game that we learned yesterday, Money War, or you can keep watching and play it at the end. But I do want you to play so you can practice counting your money and get that down, because we're gonna just keep moving along and you really have to be able to count your coins and know what each one represents by the end of the week, so we can keep moving along with the activities that Mrs. Hooker has planned. Okay. Ooh, almost fell out of my chair, guys. Goodness. Okay, so now we're moving on to social studies, and we are talking about types of leaders. So if you remember, yesterday we talked about the traits of a leader with our acrostic poem. Our acrostic word. It wasn't a poem, it's just an acrostic. Remember, an acrostic is where we take a word, and the word in this one is leadership. We put it long ways, and then each letter represents something that the word means. So really quick, I'm just going to run over what they are. I'm not going to explain each one. If you want to know more, you can go back to the video yesterday where I explained them. So L stands for loyalty, E for empathy, A for accountability, D for duty and determination, E for energy and encouragement, R for respect, S for selflessness, H for honorable and humble, I for integrity and innovation, P for passion and pride in work. Okay, so those are traits of a good leader. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about leaders in our schools. So there are different types of leaders in our school. You can be a leader in your school. You can show these traits. Your teachers are leaders. Your principals are leaders. So leaders are people that show these traits in your school. So we're going to first talk about teachers and what their job is and why they're leaders. So Mrs. Hooker has a book, and it's called A Day in the Life of a Teacher. And it just talks a little bit about what a teacher does, and it kind of explains why they're a leader. It kind of just tells you what goes into being a teacher and why that job takes leadership. So, a day in the life of a teacher. How do teachers start their day? Teachers go to school early and they get ready to teach. Mrs. Chan gathers her things her second graders will use today, and she finds colored paper and makes copies of math worksheets. She writes reading groups on the board, and she sorts corrected papers into folders. Do teachers work alone? It takes teamwork to run a school. Before the students arrive, some of the school staff meet. They plan the science fair. After the meeting, Mrs. Chan picks up today's announcements. The secretary tells Mrs. Chan a new student will be joining her class. How do teachers know what to teach? Well, each day, teachers use guides to plan lessons for the day. The guides tell the teachers what each grade must learn. Fractions are part of the second grade guide. So today, Mrs. Chan uses paper pizzas to explain fractions to her class. Where do teachers eat their lunch? Teachers usually eat lunch with other school workers. Mrs. Chan eats her lunch in the staff room. She tells Mr. Green about a movie she saw, and they talk about a field trip for second and third graders. What do teachers read? Well, reading is important to teachers. During recess, Mrs. Chan reads lesson ideas. After recess, she reads a book to her class, and then she helps her students write their own stories. She will read them later. What do teachers do while students are at their other classes? Teachers always stay busy. While her students are at music, Mrs. Chan uses the computer. She types out next week's spelling words, and Mrs. Chan also sets up a conference to meet with the students' parents. What do teachers do after school? Teachers have work to do after school. Mrs. Chan helps pick books for the reading club, then she puts a new bulletin board up, and she stores the old one to use for next year. Do teachers have homework? Teachers often take homework home. Mrs. Chan packs her briefcase with folders of papers. She will correct the papers after she eats supper with her family. She will also make a list of items she needs for tomorrow's lesson. Teaching is hard work, but Mrs. Chan loves to see her students learning each day. Amazing but true. In the 1800s, most teachers worked in one-room schoolhouses. Stoves heated the schools. Teachers chopped the wood for their stoves, and sometimes teachers gave this chore to misbehaving students. I actually was talking to my grandma the other day about what it was like when she went to school, and she was telling Mrs. Hooker that she went to school in her first year of school in a one-room schoolhouse. And that their teacher didn't have a home, and she would stay with students' families in her little one-room schoolhouse. So everyone would be together, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They were all together in one room, and she taught all of them kind of at different times. And so like when she was teaching one group, the other group would be working on their homework or their schoolwork, and then the next group would come up and she would teach them. And my grandma was saying it was really neat because her teacher lived with them for most of the school year. And then when she was done living with them, she would move on and live with another family in the school. So it was a lot different than school today. And can you imagine if your teacher lived at your house? Oh my lands, you'd have to be on your best behavior all the time. Oh, that would be fun. Okay, or maybe not for some of you. I think it would be kind of fun. I would love to get to see what it's like at your guys' houses, but I could see why that might be kind of not fun for you. Alrighty, moving on. So we talked about a teacher and what they do in their day-to-day life as a teacher. And I believe that there was a lot of these traits in Mrs. Chan and what she did every day. She had to show up on time. And so that worked. That went with being accountable. It went with her duty. I also feel like it talked about how she spent so much time working on stuff for school, and that talks about her passion for her job and her pride in her work. And all of these other things, I really felt like they were there as well. And so I think that Mrs. Chan in this story was a good example of a leader. So in our school, our teachers are leaders. Who else is a leader in our school? Who's the next leader? Well, I think it would be the principal would be the next leader in our school. And then I think after that, it would be the superintendent. So the principal is the boss of the teachers. And if we have a problem or we need help or we need to figure out a new way of teaching or a new strategy, we can go to our principal and they're going to help us. And they're going to teach us what we need to do and how we can do our job better, how we can help our students and give us new ideas. So then our principal, her boss is the superintendent, and that would also be the teacher's boss as well. But the one that's above the principal is the superintendent. And so the superintendent is who the principal would go to if she needed help and she needed a guidance, then she would go to the superintendent. And the superintendent would help and explain things to her that she needed help with. So Mrs. Hooker has a little activity, and you're going to need a piece of paper. And this is called a gobstopper. The teachers at my school, we call these a gobstopper is what we decided. If you've ever had a gobstopper before, if you have, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, it is a jawbreaker, a hard piece of candy that's round. And when you do get in the center of it, you see all these little rings of different colors because a jawbreaker has like all these little different flavors inside of it. And when you suck on it, you get to each flavor. So we're going to be kind of drawing a jawbreaker today. We're going to start with a big circle, and I'm actually just going to draw this over here on my desk. So I'll draw it and then show you. Ooh, that marker doesn't work. Throw that one away. Try this one. Okay, so a big circle like this. Then inside of it, you're going to draw another circle. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to try a different color. We're gonna do it like a jawbreaker. Okay, and then one more circle. Just like this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the little circle in the middle, and this is going to represent our school leaders. So we're gonna put the title on this first. We're gonna put school leaders at the top, and I want you to do this too. So at the top of your paper, write school leaders.